Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, alleged mastermind of the April 2014 Nyanya bomb explosion in the FCT pleads not guilty to terrorism charges. Federal government delegation visits Chibok in Borno State, lays foundation for the reconstruction of school destroyed by Boko Haram. More complaints over PVC collection as INEC gets set for field testing of smart card readers in 12 states tomorrow. And global outrage as ISIS demolish ancient Assyrian city of Nimrud in Iraq.
And on business news tonight, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry reports 7.7% drop in aggregate business confidence index in the first quarter of the year.
And in sports news, South Africa replaces Ghana as Nigeria's opponents in this month's international friendly scheduled to hold at the Bombela Stadium in Nelspruit, South Africa.
The alleged mastermind of the April the 14th, 2014 bomb blast at a motor park in Nyanya, a satellite town in the Federal Capital Territory, Aminu Oguche, and 5 other accused persons have pleaded not guilty to charges of terrorism. The accused persons were charged with conspiracy to commit terrorism, non-disclosure of information about a terrorist act, and terrorism, all punishable under the Terrorism Act. Our correspondent Amaka Ukafo reports.
After 3 adjournments and failure to arraign the alleged mastermind of the April 14 Nyanya bomb blast, Mr. Aminu Oguche, and 7 others, the accused persons finally took their plea. The 8-count charges bordered on conspiracy to commit terrorism and terrorism, which led to the destruction of properties, injuries, and the loss of about 7 to 8 lives. When the charges were read to the accused persons, they all pleaded not guilty. After taking their plea, all the accused persons, through their lawyers, applied to the court to be transferred to the Kuje Medium Prison. According to the lawyers, having taken their plea, they are no longer suspects but accused persons and should be kept in the prison. The prosecution opposed the application on the grounds that Terrorism Act is different from other criminal acts and the increasing cases of jailbreak necessitates that the accused persons be remanded in the custody of the Department of State Services. In a short ruling, the judge agreed with the prosecution and remanded the accused persons in the custody of the Department of State Services.
Our own understanding and our view is that it will be oppressive for an accused person to remain with the investigator when the investigation has been concluded. It will make a better sense and a fairer sense of justice if the accused person is kept with another agency and not necessarily with the investigator. That is just the point. But disappointment, no. His lordship has ruled, and that is it.
The court said Section 27 of the Terrorism Act empowers the prosecution to apply for 90 days to remand an accused person and can renew the application. The case has been adjourned to the 17th of March for trial. Amaka Ukafo, Channels Television News.
The federal government has laid the foundation for the rebuilding of the government secondary school Chibok, which was destroyed by the Boko Haram sect following the abduction of over 200 girls in April last year. Over 3,000 students in Chibok have been unable to return to school since the deadly attack by Boko Haram in the community. The coordinating minister for the economy, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who represented President Goodluck Jonathan at the occasion, revealed that the school will also be remodeled. The school is being rebuilt under the Safe School program of the Ministry of Finance. Now, according to a statement from the ministry, the new school is expected to have a state-of-the-art library, a laboratory, a computer and ICT center, a sports arena, and a clinic. The minister added that an observation post will also be built in the school. Other structures expected to be constructed include staff accommodation, a principal's house, a brand new administrative block, and new hostels. The school will run on solar power, and a water reservoir will also be built. Next month, April, marks a year since the kidnap of the girls, an act which led to a global campaign to secure their release. Well, the Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by former Governor of Bayelsa State, Timipre Silva, who sought to claim the candidacy of the People's Democratic Party for the governorship election held in the state in 2012. Mr. Silva had, by the appeal, argued that he ought to represent the party in the elections instead of the incumbent governor, Seriake Dixon. In a unanimous decision by a 5-man panel, the Supreme Court resolved the two issues raised for determination against the appellant Silva. Justice Sylvester Nguta, who read the lead judgment today, came down hard on the former governor for wasting the time of the court and awarded 500,000 naira costs against Mr. Silva to be paid to Governor Dixon. The court held that having participated in the process leading to the conduct of the fresh primaries by buying forms and submitting himself for screening, the former governor is deemed to have abandoned his earlier nomination for the 2011 planned election that was cancelled. And staying in the courts, the Lagos State High Court in Ikeja today ruled that the founder of the Synagogue Church of All Nations, Prophet T.B. Joshua, must appear before the coroner, probing the cause of death of 116 persons in the church building, which collapsed on September the 12th, 2014. The presiding judge, Justice Latifa Okunu, also held that the coroner, Magistrate O.A. Komolafe, had the power to inquire into the cause of the building collapse in his mandate to determine the direct cause and the manner of the victim's death. The judge further held that the allegation of bias leveled against the coroner by Prophet Joshua was based on incomplete information and lacked weight. The judge also struck out the coroner's court as the respondents in the suit on the grounds that it was not a juristic person and cannot be sued. Meanwhile, a structural engineer and consultant to the Lagos State Material Testing Agency, testifying before the coroner, said that his examination revealed that there were no signs of stress on the building prior to its collapse. The witness, who had earlier asserted that faulty or inadequate foundation was responsible for the collapse, however, admitted that he was not a professional in the field of subsoil investigation, adding that there was an error of calculation in the report he tendered before the coroner. Further hearing to the inquest has been adjourned to March the 12th, 2015. Now, in a bid to ensure that the 2015 budget is passed as soon as possible, the Committee of the House of Representatives has begun scrutinizing the budget proposals of different ministries, departments, and agencies. The Ministry of Environment led officials of the ministry today to defend their proposal before the Committee on Environment, while the Special Advisor to the President on Niger Delta appeared before the House Committee on the Niger Delta. The House of Representatives Committee on Defense also considered budget presentations made by heads of agencies and formations under the Ministry of Defense. Our correspondent Lanre Lasisi reports.
The National Assembly complex has been a beehive of activities. Officials of different ministries, departments and agencies have been appearing before the committees that oversee their activities. In the House of Representatives, the Committee on Niger Delta met with the Special Advisor to the President on Niger Delta.
Again, no country in the world and no government other than this in the history of this country has the record of placing 21 people at a time at Lufthansa Germany for aviation program. It is true that we are also facing serious pressure as it affects payments to them. We are owing them. We are surely owing them. I have explained all this to the Ministry of Finance and the Budget Office. Those who are there now will keep managing them, but we will no longer further deploy anybody for such programs outside this country again.
In another room, officials of the Ministry of Environment were also defending their 2015 budget.
But year after year, the Ministry of Environment is so much undermined through the meager resources being allocated to them. But then that little being allocated to you, to what extent have you used it? Have you used it so well to affect positively the lives of Nigerians? That is key.
We want to appreciate your concern about the budget that is being allocated to us from the Ministry of Finance and And I know that listening to you now, they will have a second thought and do something, to increase allocation.
Heads of security agencies and formations under the Ministry of Defense were also at the House of Representatives. They received commendation from the committee.
We congratulate both the ministry and our services, by this I mean our armed forces, for the recent successes recorded in the campaign against insecurity in the northeastern part of this country and indeed all over Nigeria.
The House of Representatives has adjourned plenary till Thursday next week to allow members focus on the budget defense process. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, General Muhammadu Buhari, returned from his 2-week trip to the United Kingdom today amidst tight security presence and a large crowd of party supporters at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja. General Buhari did not give detailed responses to questions from journalists who were at the airport to clarify issues surrounding his visit to the UK. He, however, told journalists that he had explained all he needed to about events at Chatham House and his campaign activities since he travelled.
Well, I went to Chatham House. I read an address and I was opposing an answer session, which you as a pressman ought to know. So what do you want me to talk about again?
No, your party, the people say your actions has cost your party a law in the campaign.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
PDP has gained ground. There have been calls.
One man doesn't make a party. A party, don't forget that we are a number of opposition parties that come together to form APC. So no one man is the party. This party belongs to all the parties that come together. Okay.
In part 2, after the break, political parties in Ogun, Ondo and Osun states signed peace pact ahead of the general elections. That's in a moment. You stay with us.